Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be making 10 cards using the Spellbinders February 2022 card kit. And this kit is called Always Remember. I did an unboxing of this kit on my YouTube channel, so if you have not seen everything that's included in this kit, go back and check out that video. I will have a link down in the description box, as well as a link to the card kit club if you're interested in joining. And as always, I will have a coordinating blog post over on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com with all of the card measurements. For all of my cards in this video, I did some very basic cuts with the pattern paper, just so that these cards would be very easy for you guys to duplicate. So here for my first card, I have a piece of the pink cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I cut a piece of gold cardstock to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I just cut the center out with a rectangular die just so that I can save that extra gold cardstock, because it's going to be eventually covered up by this cloud pattern paper. So I wanted to save that piece. So the cloud paper is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to use the pink oval frame and the swans and some of the gold leaves there. This kit has a lot of the chipboard frames. They come in various sizes. There are a few of the oval ones like I'm using on this card, and there are some rectangular frames as well as some square frames. And frames are perfect for shaker cards. I do use one to make a shaker card, and you'll see that here later on in the video. And the frames do have a sticky back, so you can stick them down like a sticker, but I did choose to add some glue just to make sure that they stick very well onto the card front. So I just layered up some of the ephemera pieces, and I also added the sentiment Always Remember, and I'm just adding some gold gems from my stash and then adding this to an A2 size card base. So that completes that card. So moving on to my second card, the layers are going to be very similar to the first one. So that floral pattern paper is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. The pink cardstock is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Again, I'm just layering up the oval frame. This is a light pink frame. Layered up some of the floral ephemera on the left-hand bottom corner, adding an extra set of leaves underneath that flower. And then the Thinking of You sentiment, I am using some foam adhesive. That does come with the card kit. Card kit always comes with the little foam dots. And I add the Thinking of You as well as a butterfly, and then I'll add that to an A2 size card base. Card kit also comes with 10 A2 size card bases and envelopes. And then I'm adding a few of the sequins that came in the kit, and then that's going to complete this card. So moving on to my next card, I have this yellow and white butterfly paper that measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I add that to a piece of green cardstock that's 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And this card, I'm just layering up a whole bunch of ephemera pieces onto the front. So I have some leaves, I have a candle. The little yellow book says Words from the Heart. There is a large heart as well. So when I add the ephemera, I always like to lay it out first, and then I start gluing from the back to the front. So you saw me lay the candle down, glue that candle down first, and then just start putting all the other ephemera pieces from the back to the front. And the sentiment says, "It's okay." And I don't know if you can see very well on the video here, but some of the ephemera pieces have gold foiling on them. So the word "it's" is in gold, title of the book is in gold, some of the candle is in gold, and I love that gold accent. I just think it looks really, really pretty and adds an extra special touch to the card. So here I'm just adding some of the sequins, and it was added to an A2 size card base. And now moving on to my fourth card, I have this pink pattern paper that measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I add that to a piece of blue cardstock that measures 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to layer up some of my ephemera pieces. So I have a little gray doily, and then on top of the gray doily, I'm going to put the mason jar with the flowers. I'm also going to add some gold leaves as well as a yellow envelope. So just layering up those ephemera pieces. Notice I didn't stick them all the way down because I want to make sure I have some wiggle room before I stick them down. And then the sentiment is a chipboard piece. It says thank you so much, and the yellow in that chipboard piece matches the yellow in the envelope, and the words on that sentiment have gold foiling. So I'm going to add a few of the sequins to the front of this card, and then I'm going to add this to an A2 size card base, and that will complete this card. So for my next card, I'm going to make a little bit of a scene. I love to make scene cards, so whenever I have the opportunity to make a scene card, I go for it. So I did cut a border out of a die that I have, and it's just a little hillside border. It has a little bit of stitching there on the top. I put some ink on the edge, it's just some green ink to kind of bring out that green cardstock. Just adds a little bit of depth on there. So I add the border to the bottom of this raindrop pattern paper. That raindrop pattern paper is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then once I add it on there, I am going to go ahead and add more of this green ink just to the bottom of that layer, and also to the sides, just to add a little bit more depth. Next, I'm going to use a gray ink, and I'm just adding some ink to the edges of the 3 clouds in the ephemera pieces. Again, just adding a little bit more depth to those ephemera pieces. So there's a gray cloud, there's a blue cloud, or it could be a dark gray cloud, and then there's also a gray cloud with some raindrops. So I'm using 3 of the ephemera clouds. So I'm going to go ahead and position all my ephemera pieces where I want them. I'm going to have the 2 smaller clouds flat on the card front. They are going to extend a little bit past that card layer. I will snip off the ends in just a little bit. I'm going to add the girl with the umbrella at the bottom, so like she's standing in the rain. And then I'm going to take this layer, before I do anything else with it, I'm going to put it in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp out the sentiment. And the sentiment I'm using is, the clouds will clear and the sun will shine. And this is a stamp set that came with the card kit. There are several different sentiments on there, and I show all of them up close on my unboxing video, so be sure to check that out. So this larger cloud with the raindrops, I did put some foam on the back so that it stands in front of those other 2 clouds, and then I'm going to also put some of these hearts on the front of the card. So here I just snip off the ends of those clouds, and then I'll add this to a dark blue card layer that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then that will be added to an A2 size white card base. And then that will complete this card. For my next card, I cut down the green striped pattern paper to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to layer some of the flower ephemera pieces onto the bottom left-hand corner of this pattern paper. So I have this larger piece, and then I'm going to pop in one of the leaves towards the top, and it's okay that it's going over the side. I'll just cut that off. And then I'm going to add the globe right on top of that. And then I'm going to add the telephone. That telephone's going to actually be popped up with some foam adhesive. For the sentiment, I die cut it out of some of the word dies that came in this kit. And if you take a look at that unboxing video, it will show all of the word dies that are included. This one says just saying hello. I just die cut it out of some black cardstock. I did put some double-sided adhesive tape on the back of that cardstock just so it made those words a sticker. And then I added some gold gems from my stash. And then I'm going to add that to a green piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'll add that to an A2 size white card base. I did go back in and add a heart chipboard piece, and that will complete this card. For my next card, I wanted to use this globe pattern paper, and I wanted to make sure that that globe was in the center, so I just took a rectangular die, put it on the center of that pattern paper, and die cut it out. And then I added that green pattern paper to pink cardstock that measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Then I'm just going to arrange some ephemera pieces. I am using an oval chipboard piece. And then the sentiment says, "You're never alone." That is also a chipboard piece that came with the kit. So I'm just going to tuck that bird right behind that chipboard sentiment, add the flower, And I'm going to add another flower up here towards the top. And then I will add some of these gold gems. These are from Spellbinders. There will be a link down in the description box below for these gold gems as well. So everything I'm using on this card kit, anything that's extra that I pull out of my stash, I'll have links down below as well. So then this layer is going to go on an A2 size card base, and that is going to complete this card. So moving on to my next card, I'm going to use 3 butterflies. I love the butterfly ephemera in this kit. It's so pretty. So I cut down some very thin strips of gold cardstock, and they're probably about an 1/8 inch wide, and I'm putting some gold cardstock on the edge of this pattern paper. The pattern paper is white with gold foiling, and there's some words in there. And that white pattern paper is 2 5/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. So just adding the gold cardstock to the edges, and then I'll snip off the bottom there. And then I'm going to add that to the middle of the pink pattern paper. And that pink pattern paper is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So here I'm just going to add this strip right down the middle. It is a little bit longer than that pink pattern paper, but that's okay. I'm just gonna snip off the bottom there. You can use a paper trimmer just if you want to make sure it's even. You can just run that through your paper trimmer as well. Alright, so these butterflies are going to go right along the middle of that white strip. I'm going to put the 2 larger ones, one at the top and one at the bottom, and the smaller one's going to go in the middle. I am going to put some foam on the center of each one of those butterflies. I'm not going to glue down the wings because I want to be able to pop them up. Now if you wanted to, you can just put some foam on the whole back side just so that it does have a solid foundation to rest on. But I just wanted the middle part to have the foam just so that I can lift those wings up. And then I'm going to add a sentiment that is a chipboard banner, and it says "It's your day." There's a little hole on the left edge of that banner. I do eventually put a gold gem to cover up that hole. So that is going to go on an A2 size white card base, and then here's where I add that gem. So you can see how the butterflies have dimension. I think that card turned out so pretty. So moving on to my next card, I have a piece of pink pattern paper that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I also have a piece of pattern paper with the birds on it, and that one measures 4 by 2 1/2. So the bird pattern paper is going to go on a piece of green cardstock that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then that's going to go on top of the large pink pattern paper. But before I add it, I am adding a gold strip right along the edge there. And that gold strip is about 1/2 inch wide. So once that gold strip's added, I'll add this center rectangle. And then I'll go ahead and add a flower ephemera piece as well as the word hugs. And then I'm going to add some pink flowers to the top of this flower ephemera piece. These flowers are from the die that came with this card kit. I just used some pink cardstock and die cut those flowers out. They do come in 5 little flowers, so the die will cut out 5 of them. And the die is actually sitting there on the table. You can see it there on the screen. And then there's another die that will die cut out the middles, and I just die cut those gold dots out of just the gold solid cardstock and just added the gold accent. And then I adhered that to a white A2 size card base, and that completes that card. And for my last card, I went ahead and made a shaker card. I just wanted to show you how you can take those frames and use them for shakers. So this blue strip is a piece of pattern paper, and it's 1 3/4 by 5 3/8. I add that to a piece of pink cardstock that's 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. And then I take this floral print that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 and add that to a piece of pink cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then the strip will go there off to the left-hand side. And then I'm going to use this oval blue chipboard piece, and I'm just taking a piece of pattern paper. I actually just flip it over, it's just a scrap, and I'm going to use the white side because I wanted the back of this frame to have white cardstock showing, or just white paper showing through. So I just cut it down to size so I didn't have any overhang over that oval or extending past that oval. And then I'm going to glue down the white paper to the front of the card. I'm just using the frame for just positioning it. I didn't glue the frame down yet. I just wanted to position it there just to make sure I have it where I want it to go. And then once I have the white paper down, I have a piece of acetate that I cut down to be about the same size as that oval. I just used my scissors and trimmed it down so I was able to cover up that hole in the chipboard. I do add some glue to the back of that chipboard, and then I'm just making sure that acetate's not extending past. If it is, just trim it with your scissors. And then I'm taking some double-sided adhesive foam tape. These are some foam strips that I have in my stash, and I'm just adding the foam to the edges of the back side of the chipboard. You want to make sure when you're adding the foam that the foam is completely connected around the entire oval. You don't want any gaps in it because you don't want your sequins to fall out of the holes in that foam. I go ahead and add the sequins to the center of that white piece of cardstock that's on the card, and then I peel back the adhesive backing from the foam, and then I will pop that oval right on top of the sequins. And now I have a shaker. I love using these frames for shakers. And then I'm going to use this chipboard. It looks like a fox holding some flowers, holding a bouquet of flowers. I'm going to add it to the oval, and I'm also going to add a chipboard sentiment that says "Sending my love." I'm going to put that at the bottom of the fox. And then once I have those chipboard pieces onto that oval, I am going to add some more chipboard pieces. These are some circles with some hearts. So I add one at the top, I add one at the bottom. I'm actually going to switch that pink one out with blue because I want to use another one by the sentiment. So once I have all of that complete, I will take that layer and I will put it on an A2 size card base. And then that's going to complete my card. So here's a look at all 10 cards that I made with the Spellbinders February kit. I also want to remind you that Spellbinders is going to be one of the sponsors for my giveaway video for reaching 10,000 followers here on YouTube. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and make sure you are a subscriber so that you'll be notified when that video comes out, and it will be coming shortly. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.